Are you a Netflix fan?
Not really.
So I
No.
got into this show on Netflix called Made recently, and it was really bad. But it was kind of like when you were, I don't know, when you started digging, you just kept digging, and I think there were like 10 episodes. And after the sixth episode, I thought it was nearly over, and after the seventh episode, I thought, this is nearly over. But then it was just, well, I've watched so much of it, and it didn't really get any better. But at the end, basically, there's this young kind of struggling single mother, but she gets all these other kind of women around in this room, and they have a chat, and she just says, I want you to write a story. And she says, when I write, um, basically stuff comes out from my mind that I wouldn't be able to actually like put into words in any shape or form or put into meaning without writing it. And she found like that by just writing something, that's my therapy. That's basically me coming to terms with what's in my mind. Was that like that for you?
Definitely was, yeah. Writing the last little bit for the book definitely was like that. And because I remember somebody asked me to talk about it. Like it's very hard to talk about that. Uh, Pat dying and the funeral and everything. But writing it down definitely was. It wasn't easy, but it was good. I think it was definitely therapeutic for me. Yeah.
It's also something that at some stage the kids will be able to read.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It's the younger two won't even look in the direction of the book right now, but they'll have it. It'll be there for them, and that's one of the reasons I really wanted Pat to do the book. Obviously, at the time, I really was thinking that he wouldn't die, and that we'd have a happy ending. But and that's the other thing is I kind of wanted there to be a happy ending, so I wanted to show that yeah, he died, but we really do feel he's still here. There kind of is a happy ending there.
Can
I
I ask you
think.
about that actually, France? Because I was on the Independence website, I think, last Monday, and um, at that particular time, your interview and your story about the book, and particularly the line, which was the headline, which was something to the effect of, Pat's gone to such an amazing place. I think he wants us to know about it. And I think that headline, I'd say 99% of the people who read that article probably have no interest in racing, and probably very many of them have had grief in their lives, possibly extreme grief, where they want to feel that belief that there is that other space there, that Pat is still around, and that it was a really arresting headline, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, what I tried to do was just to say these are the things that happened, and we know that he was telling us that he like. I do feel he suffered so much that when he did get that piece, that it was like it was really amazing for him, and he really had to let us know that everything was okay. So yeah, I mean, I think it's not something like I never like not that's something I ever expected, but I just wanted to say, do you know what, these things happened, and you can take them as you want, but at the end of the day, I think there is something out there. Like there is a lot more than we know right there, and we're all going to die. So
I
it's
just think
nice to
that's
know
very
that. I
powerful.
think.
I just think it's very powerful because, like, the prospect of just this entire blackness is so horrific for anyone to deal with, that I think for you to believe that, and even the most cynical person out there will take comfort from that, because I think even that makes people happier to read that.
Yeah, and I mean, Pat. To be honest, Pat and I, we weren't able to talk about dying. We weren't able to talk about death, which I kind of wish we could have, but we just didn't know how to talk about it. And I know Pat was afraid to die, and I know he worried about, of course, he worried about what was out there, what was next. Do you just disappear? He didn't want to die, and so I think that also was, I think it was like a huge relief for him, or to find that you know that actually it's quite nice, I think.
It's an incredible, it's an incredible last chapter. Like Johnny knows me very well. I am one of those most cynical people in the world, and I was completely overwhelmed reading that. And I think what you've done is you've opened up a conversation that people will be able to start talking about death. Pat Smone's very famous, and his fundraising in the last year of his life was incredible. And the fact that it went to proper research, that this this was like, it's actually making a change, and there's loads of stuff that people can do research on and see that the change that the money that he's raised is making, and for him to bear that so publicly, while at the same time you're telling us now how much pain he was going through, and the pain that you have carried and will continue to carry, but the joy that you feel in being able to see these things and talk about it is unbelievably powerful, I think. And it's a brilliant final chapter, and I'm so glad that you got some relief from it as well, because we read loads of sports books about sports people, but I think for you and for your family and for the people who read this is going to be special. So I just want to say thanks. It was great.
You're welcome. And that's exactly what I wanted to do, was actually, put it out there and open the conversation, because I just kept saying to myself, why did nobody ever tell me that these kind of things could have happened? Like, it actually would have brought Pat a bit of comfort if he maybe knew. Now, maybe he wouldn't have believed it, but
he was a cynical old soul as well. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a bit like you have to experience it to really believe it. And I kind of feel a bit blessed that I did experience those things. I feel like it's a gift from Pat to us. And, maybe a lot of people reading it will probably say, like, she has finally lost it, like, what a fruitcake. But I feel like it's a gift from Pat.
Yeah, you have that day at the Curragh as well. Just like I'll never forget that. That's that fundraising day of Irish Champions Weekend. Like, I was genuinely in the press room looking at Tony McCoy welling up and like really struggling myself to hold it in, because there were maybe 10,000 people there that day. But I've never been at a sporting occasion that was so fraught with what was at stake here and what Pat was doing. And I remember going in that day and having the crack with him about Dermot Weld, and he was laughing away, and you sensed he might be fighting a tough battle himself, but that fun was there. But just the legacy of what he achieved, and as Ger says, it made a difference. It really, really made a difference. And Pat's not around, but he's still around. He's still making a difference, because what he did is making a difference to people's lives.
Yeah, like, that was a massive day. It was brilliant. And it was so emotional, and it was a really brilliant day in so many ways, like for the Curragh and the amount of money raised. And although it was very hard on Pat, I think because he really was looking forward to riding in that race, it really meant a lot to him. And I think he'd be really happy with what the money is being used for. And I kind of think, and I know he had no power over this, but the fact that he died the exact same day a year later is kind of uncanny. I think it kind of in a funny way shows the significance of the day,
Totally. No, totally. Frances, we'll let you go. You've been great with your time. Thanks a million. I hope everybody who's listening to this gets a chance to read the book at some stage, and well done. Thanks a million for talking to us today.
You're welcome. Thanks very much. Thank you.
It's Frances